Um, so have you read the patch notes yet? Well, the biggest change for I'm trying to pull them up real quick. The biggest change for position 4 is actually the mid lane change, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's just you used to be able to, like, if you're a beefy position 4 and you can get on top of them and the creep wave is on your hill, you could just like body them out with like a Night Stalker or a Bounty Hunter or Spirit Breaker or whatever. But now you don't really have the space to do that. It's kind of like the range. If I had to guess, it used to be like 11 or 1200 range between the two towers, and now it's more like 1000 range, which doesn't sound like too much, but when you consider that the creeps take up like a good 600 of that, you're cutting it down like a bunch. It used to basically the space that you have for it to be on your hill is like next to nothing right now. You used to have like a lot more space, and then the creep wave is going to take up like 600 the whole time. So now you have like 400 to play with instead of like 600 at the edge of the creeps. I don't like the two branches, and I don't like the fairy fire. It's just kind of like they're really good as a mid laner because one damage can mean the difference between getting denied and getting a last hit, and that itself will have already paid for itself off of one creep. And then also it makes it so if you get 2 tangos, you can have 3 tangos by eating one of them, and that means you don't have to sometimes like get an extra salve or something. You can just rush your bottle or whatever. But as a position 4, it's like it's just 1 damage and 20 health for each one, and it's kind of like I would have much rather seen you just go Orb of Venom, Tangos, Clarity, and then like rush your boots probably, because you're getting 80 gold at the start of most games between the 2 bounty runes, and then you would have had the extra 175 or the 70, the 170 from this. So you'd be at around 275, I think, with the 2 bounty runes if you just went these 3 items. And then you, at 1 minute in the game, you'd have your boots. And it's kind of like, if you compare these items to getting your boots like 2 minutes sooner, like boots makes a huge difference, whereas these are just kind of like, they might do something. And they're also, unless you're getting a wand, which you shouldn't really decide on at the very start of the game, unless it's like super obvious, like they have a Zeus and like some other spammers, and you're a hero that with them spamming spells you can like not have to worry about your mana as much. Aside from that, you don't really want to commit to the wand at the start of the game. So these kind of are just sidetracks, whereas getting your boots is like something you have to do every single game. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also yeah, and they recently just changed everything, so it's kind of like I'm not even sure if that's the right thing yet, cuz but it's like if I had to guess right now, I think that's probably the best route to go. Cuz like right now you're 300 gold away when you'd only be like 120 gold. Oh, shit. You're right. I haven't really talked about too much, though. That's specific. You should be able to see it now. But yeah, and with ganking mid, even before this change, you only really want to go to, like a few days ago before they did the tower change, even then you would only really want to go mid if it was on your side. Like, if the creeps met, like, here or farther back. Because... yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like there's a lot of things that are going to pop up that are options for you in the start of the game. So it's kind of like more you should be looking at it as, instead of making that happen where it's on your side, in from that into more of, if it does happen, then I can act this way. So like I don't really block my mid at all, and I think more now the mid's just gonna block for themselves, or it might just like not matter because of how small the area is anyways. I can't predict that yet, but you getting a bounty rune is the same as this guy getting the bounty rune. So like, why would he want to be at the bounty rune when he can block his mid or whatever? But again, I don't know if blocking mid matters. So it's kind of like, I just check to see where the creeps line up. Like, right at this moment, you can tell that the creep wave is going to meet like poorly for you because she's blocking, and this isn't getting blocked at all. So you know it's going to meet like here. So usually as a position 4, I'll be sitting like here or here, looking at the lane, and then if this doesn't turn out well enough for me to do something mid, I'll just go to another lane and zone them out. Because it's like, as a position 4, the things that you want to think about at the start of the game is, what do you need to do? Like, what, if they have, how do I put it? Basically, what would be the best thing to possibly happen, if you could do anything? And that'd probably be shutting down the AM and the TA, right? But then you have to think about what you can actually do. And there's no fucking way you're killing the AM. You might be able to attack them once or twice and harass them. But if you go up there now, you're more likely going to just feed and lose the lane than anything. So it's like, yeah, you need to shut down the AM, but you can't, so you don't. And then the TA, it's kind of like, yeah, you need to shut her down too, but as long as the creeps are here, you can't do that, so you don't. And then the best way to shut these guys down in that situation is keep this guy so far down that he's not a problem later at all, and you can focus completely on these guys, and he can't make space for them. And then eventually, if you shut on him enough, the supports might show up bottom to help him, and then that's your chance to body out the AM or go for the gank on the TA. So it's like, in this situation, you would be hurting the TA more by going bottom than going mid. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Well, it's definitely it's one of the more like abstract concepts, and it's very like hard to get a firm understanding of what things actually do in the game. It's not like last hitting where you throw the attack and you either hit it or you miss. It's kind of like something you do now can influence the game in 10 minutes, and it's hard to know if that one action that you did influences it in 10 minutes until it's like super fucking obvious. Like if I looked at one of the games that like I could probably point something out that you do at 15 minutes in a game that you like mess up. I could point out something at 15 minutes and then explain that it's probably going to do this, and then it will do it, and then I can like take you through the steps, but it's very hard to figure that out without already having it figured out, if that makes any sense. Yeah. 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 I mean, that's why I love Dota. It's more of understanding the game than it is the mechanics. Um, like, CSGO and League are the two other biggest esports, but those are literally just, like, you can get far on mechanics alone. Dota 2, you can get to, like, 4K with mechanics, but 4K is, like, not that far. Whereas, like, League and CSGO, you could probably get close to professional just off of being able to aim well. And one small thing here that I like to do, it's bounty hunter specific, Ricky, invis heroes. You can run into the middle of the lane while invis and right click the enemy hero, and if the creeps attack you, you know there's a sentry. I also would have much rather seen you go Urn first instead of Mana Boots. I just think Urn is one of the most broken items in the game. Where is it? If we look at the mana regen it gives you, and then the gold, and then if you look at the mana regen the Voidstone gives you and the gold, for 25 more gold you get 2 all stats, 2 armor, and all of the active of Urn. And then Urn is like a 900 gold item that completely counters a 2,200 gold item. You just cast it on whoever has a blink dagger, and they don't have a blink dagger for the next 15 seconds because this cancels it. Or yeah, is it? It's actually 17 seconds now with the changes. And then also if you get Urn, you can get the raindrop really soon, which is a lot of block damage. It's basically like a better version of Stout Shield in as a position 4. And then the 0.5 mana regen basically is 50% more mana regen. And then when you build this, you can pick up a Windlace just casually with it, because you're probably going to build the Spirit Vessel at some point. And then it's so good. And then on Bounty Hunter, well here I probably wouldn't even get the Mana Boots, because you have a CM also. Your mana's gonna be completely solved. I don't know exactly if, I haven't played this guy recently enough to know if Urn will be good enough to solve all of your mana problems, but it's just like, Mana Boots are kinda meh, and you don't really need the Greaves for any of their spells except for Dust. Yeah. 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 And then also, yeah, I think Tranquils are amazing on a lot of position 4s. It's mostly the movement speed. And then also, if you have Earn and Tranquils, you don't have to use your Earn on yourself, so you can keep the charges to heal your teammates more, or kill enemies, which refreshes your charges. If you have 0 charges, you get 2 charges. So you usually want to sit around 1 charge. But with Tranquils, it's basically the same movement speed per gold as boots are. It's 50 gold more. This one's 10 gold per movement speed. This one's like whatever, like 10.8 or some shit. But you also never have to worry about your health regen until like 30 or 40 minutes in the game, so you can stay out a lot longer. And with Earn and Tranquils, you can just fly out a Clarity, and you're basically good after every fight. And then another thing with it is, as a position 4, you usually can't push towers at all. And it's completely out of your control, unless, like, I guess the only hero that could really do that as a roamer would be like a Night Stalker or something, and he's not even that great at it. But it's kind of like you can pick up this 900 gold item, and you guys take a fight with your Sven, your Invoker dies, your Sven's at like 300 health, and they still have like a Pudge or whatever. Instead of this guy having to back, you can just earn him, and then he keeps pushing while everyone's dead for 30 seconds, and your earn just got you 30 seconds of all of the net worth of this guy pushing. So it's I like to look at it as a pseudo push item. And then again, it's also, yeah, and then it's really good on TA also, because it eats through her refractions. I think when you got that haste rune, you should have headed back bottom. Part of it is you didn't really check the situation too much, I don't think. Did you? Yeah. He was pretty much fucked. Well, you didn't check. You looked, but this guy, on your screen, his health bar was above. Like, you couldn't see the Underlord's health. But if you checked a little bit more, you'd know this guy's fucked, and nobody else is even low. So you're not really gonna do anything if you go top. But if you go bottom and you can get a kill on this guy, his TP might have been on cooldown. I don't know if he TP'd out or not. But if you get another kill on this guy, he's just kind of like out of the game for a long ass time. And again, you can't do anything top, so there's no point even heading up there. And then you're gonna like fumble around for the next like 15-20 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, this is fine, because around the like 6, 7, 8, 9 minute mark, somewhere around there, I start to check what my experience is. Because it's a good like thing to aim for, getting your 6 with a tome. Like, sometimes being level 3 at 7 minutes is the play. Like, you can just completely zone out. I had a game where I was a Clockwork against a Timbersaw. We had like a carry like AM or some shit, and I just completely bodied the guy out for like 8 minutes because he started with reactive armor or the AoE nuke. He didn't have his chain, but basically I just zone him out, and then I'd see the creep wave coming, his creep wave, and then I just like do a circle around the trees and then zone him out again, and I wasn't level 3 until like 8 minutes in the game, but the Timber Saw also wasn't until so he was completely fucking useless. A Timber Saw with no levels is useless. So sometimes, like, I literally won us the game off of being level 3 at like 8 minutes. So sometimes, it's not that if you don't get 6 by the 10-minute mark with Tome, you're bad. It's just kind of like, that's what I like to aim for, because if you don't start prioritizing your experience when it gets to that mark, and you're not level 6 yet, you quickly fall off into being useless for the rest of the game. Yeah. But yeah, like if you had a urn right here, your Invoker or your Sven would be a lot healthier after that fight, and you definitely have the gold for it. Yeah, the thing that I look at Magic Wand as a really good item to buy out when you're dying, because you have, if you don't buy the components early, you can always buy these out. The 50 gold, 100 gold, 200 gold, and Wand is one of the most effective items in the game, just because Wand's fucking broken, but it's also not the greatest, in the sense that if you're a roamer, you're not really using the health regen part of it much. Like, the health regen is more for if you're a laner and they have like a Windrunner that just keeps shooting you in the face, or an Enchantress or something like that, or they have a Warlock that keeps putting his heal on you, then Wand is really good for that, because I think I did the math not too long ago, and it's like every 70 seconds is a free Tango from having this. So you kind of miss out on that, and then you don't really, the stats you kind of miss out on too. But if you're getting these components for like free by buying out instead of dying and losing the gold, then it's a very efficient item. And if you're dying out, the game's probably not going that well for you, and if the game's probably not going that well for you, you're going to hold on to the wand a lot longer, because you're not getting golden experience. So you get the benefit of buying it out, and then you get the benefit of holding it for a lot longer. So that's kind of my take on Wand, aside from the situation where I talked about before, where they have like a ton of like Zeus and PA and shit like that. Do you have any questions so far? Anything? Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Um, yeah. Well, the thing as a position 4, at my levels, you have to first or second pick your supports. Or you first and second pick your supports. Yeah, and it's usually, if you don't first pick, then you have to position 5, because it's kind of like two people agree to support, but neither of you wants to be the hard five. So I have to first pick all of my games to get the heroes, or to get the position 4, and the only 2 heroes that I would actually feel comfortable doing that on would be Night Stalker and Clockwork, because in this game they have AM. Or there's a game that I looked at before that was AM and Quap. Quap was mid. And it's kind of like, if you're a bounty hunter against an AM and a Quap, like, what the fuck are you gonna do for the first 10 minutes of the game? Yeah. And it's things like that can make you useless for the first 10 minutes, which will make you half as effective for the next 20-30 minutes of the game. But if you're a Clockwork or a Night Stalker, Clockwork can always fall back on his cogs, and he doesn't have to get early kills and stuff to be effective later in the game. And then Night Stalker, at 4 minutes in the game, those heroes that are unkillable to everyone else are fucking squishy fish in a barrel, because they're balanced around their spell making them survive, so they're not actually tanky when they're silenced. So those 2 heroes are my go-to position 4s if I have to pick early, because it's like, if you're a Pudge and a lineup goes bad, you're just useless for the rest of the game. But I have, if we go to my recent games, like, it's just a lot of fucking Clockwork and a lot of Night Stalker. And in all of these games, I've never really felt I picked the wrong hero or I'm out of position. Just because you can be very versatile with them, and it's like, they're never wrong, whereas a lot of other position 4s are just, like, wrong. So that's kind of, and in your games too, it'd probably be good for, if you're gonna play position 4, pick it early, because that allows your laners to, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, what was I gonna say? I think Clockwork's better as a position 4 than 3, like, a lot better. Because he's pretty fucking tanky, and then, like, Pudge is a roamer because of his hook and his rot, but, Clockwork basically has a rot that does more damage and doesn't hurt him, and cancels TPs. And at, level 7, you max your battery assault, but you don't max rot, because rot fucking hurts you just as much as it hurts them. I think it's level 1 is, if you get all of it, it's pretty good, but it's more than twice as good at level 2. Yeah. I think, Gyrocopters is one of the better ones. But yeah, it's a ton of damage, and you don't, like, if you run into 3 people as Pudge, you just die. If you do it as Clockwork, you still die, but, like, not as quickly. Because you're not rotting yourself down. But yeah, if we look at, it's 12 minutes, has your Fairy Fire, like, gotten you any kills or saved you at all or anything? Yeah. And then if you had your urn, you probably would have been able to use, I'd say 6 charges so far. Yeah. And when you go for urn, I like to, like right now, you could be flying out your raindrop, your circlet, and the recipe, and then you can pick up the ring at the side shop. Yeah. Here, it would have been best if you just stayed invis and wait for him to pop out. Well, it's... I mean, going invis after he ults, and just securing your... Like, if you hit him with a shuriken, he's dead for sure. And you're not gonna kill off all of his pandas. Also, do you know that you can fill up your quick buy a lot more? Yeah. That's one of, I'm probably gonna go into that when we do offlane. But I can go over it real quick, actually. It works for every role. There's 3 main reasons that you want to do your quick buy, and you should be doing it at the very start of the game when you're running out to the bounty runes. The 3 main reasons, I talk about this with, like, all of my students. The first of it is you can easily like buy stuff really quickly, and as like if you're mid and you let's say you know you're gonna go for boots, wand, and like treads and wand, you can throw a salve on the end of that, and you can save yourself a bunch of time by just being able to click it here. Whereas if you're trying to last hit and all this shit, you might not have the time to do this for a good 10 seconds. So it might make you bring out your salve 10-15 seconds sooner, which can oftentimes just save your life because you get ganked in those 10 or 15 seconds or whatever. And then the other part of it is the quick buy, which is going back to the wand. Like I'll sometimes throw wand at the end of my quick buy, even if I don't think it's the greatest wand game, just because it's like you use it or you lose it. Like I'm gonna die and lose gold anyways. Might as well have it go towards an item. And then the biggest thing, this is I think the biggest part of it is for offlane. Is it makes you think about what your lane's gonna look like and what you can do about it build wise. Like let's say you're playing an Underlord. And they have like a Kunkka Shadow Shaman, or Shadow Shaman. The item that you want to go for ASAP is boots, because if they catch you, you're fucked no matter what. So if you think about that before the game, you can build accordingly.
You turned everything off.
And then you can like just like win because of it, or it makes you predict what the lane's going to look like, and then from there you can either be right, like with the Shadow Shaman Kunkka thing, and it'll win you the lane, or you can be wrong, but you at least made a decision and a prediction, and then you can learn from there. Like, oh, why did my Stout Shield not work this lane, or why did I still die with boots anyways? Whereas if you don't make a prediction, you're never going to like actively make mistakes, so you can't really learn from it. And it's like it costs you nothing. You're not doing anything for the first 40 seconds of a game anyways. And then this is a small thing. When somebody dusts you while you're invis, you want to break your invis with an item. Because the dust has like an 18% slow or something. So if you like, it's better for other heroes. Like if you're a Ricky or no, Ricky can't even fucking do it. Like if you can toggle your treads or something while you're running, it'll break your invis, and then you'll not get slowed by the dust anymore. Or you could like use your wand, or you could earn yourself. Yeah, just Yep. It's a reveals and slows invisible heroes by 20%. No. Yeah. You still would have died there, but like yeah. And that's like a lot of the things we've talked about. It's like you're not really doing it wrong. It's just like it looks like it might be wrong in a different situation, so I'm telling you anyways. So why are you thinking of going for a spirit vessel here? Yeah. How do I, so the heal amount goes up, but it doesn't go up that much in the early game. Because it's based off of percent. So like 8% on your Sven right now is only like 200 health. Whereas the urn itself is already like, it's 400, but that's also amplified by his strength, so it's more like 700 when you earn this guy, and I guess the way to put it is, if you're using your urn like effectively, after a fight you'll usually not be like, oh, I wish I had more urn charges, and if you'll only wish that you had more urn charges in that, for me at least, I like to sit around one charge and use, like I want to get a kill, use one charge to heal up from it, and then still have a charge to throw on somebody to help increase the chance that I kill them to get 2 more urn charges. But I find I can just use that one last charge on a teammate, and then the only reason that I wish that I had more charges is because I want the extra urn charge to damage somebody to help me kill them. So in the early game, the spirit vessel upgrade isn't that great. I would like to see if you are, it's not too bad this game because you can throw it on Pudge while he ults, but with TA you're doing it more to take off her refractions than to do damage to her. So yeah, you can do 1,000,000 damage, she's still gonna block it. And then this guy doesn't have any heal. This guy can Manta it off, and he doesn't have any heal. This guy doesn't have any heal. So it's kind of like upgrading it doesn't really do too much until later in the game, and Pudge has like 1,000,000 health, and you just have the extra gold, and you want the movement speed and health and stuff. And the heal doesn't really matter too much in the early game either because it's based off of percents, and so you can put 2,000 gold into this and make it like slightly better in the early game now, or you can put 2,000 gold into it later and make it decently better in the late game and get like a early blink or something and get more tracks and shit. Yeah. You do know you can shuriken creeps and bounce it to heroes, right? Okay. It's 1200, I think. Yeah. So it's like, if you hit this creep, it's probably gonna hit the TA. So it's got a pretty fucking big range. That'd be awesome if Rubik's Tract makes you hit your own teammates with shuriken. That'd be fucking awesome. Some blasphemy. That would make the game so much more interesting, though. Yeah. You fucking killed me. Cause like here, you're gonna get your urn, but do you really feel that much stronger? Well, it's not that you want to be like frontlining with your hero. You have the Underlord and the Sven for that. It's more of that you're gonna have to play like a wuss regardless of you have the Spirit Vessel or not. So why not just like have a blink or something instead? Yeah. It's I like it. Because it's like, if people find you out, you can just blink out. Like if they pop a dust right here, you can just blink out. Or if you have to blink in to get a better shuriken, or to track, or to blink in to slow with your other shit. It's just kind of like, it's a pretty good item. Like right there, you could have blinked and shurikened or some shit to stop the ult. And now you just slowed yourself with the dust. And if we look at how much your arcane boots have done for you, it's kind of like, yeah, not too much. Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think it's bad because Sven does really good with the mana. It's just like, you don't want to get it just for one hero, especially if he's going Echo Saber, because that usually solves it, especially with the CM on top of that. And you're going Solar Crest, which Solar Crest and Urn alone solves your mana problems. And then you also have CM Aura, and then you also have mana boots. Like, you couldn't blow through all of your mana if you wanted to. That's just a feels bad. I think part of that was your camera positioning. Like, you're looking right here when you could be looking here. and on your screen you didn't even really see the pudge. Because if we go to your player perspective, he's like off in the corner where he should be like right around the middle. And if you saw that, you probably would, yeah, a little bit. It was kind of like you're not going to do anything else in that time, so getting the courier was good. I mean, 1,000 gold for your team when you would have just done the same shit without the 1,000 gold on the other side. If you had a blink there. I'm kind of meh on the EXP gain, cause like your second track is a lot better than your first, but your third one isn't that much better than the second. And it's like, what else are you gonna do? Like you getting your levels doesn't really matter too much. And track is more for the vision than it is the gold, anyways. So it's like, your movement speed would allow you to get more tracks better and live more. Whereas if you get more points, it's like, yeah, your invis lasts longer, but you don't have fucking mana problems. So this is literally just fade time and bonus 30 damage on your hit. And then this is kind of like good if you're like 4v1 a Rubik or some shit and you want to kill him in like 0.8 seconds instead of 0.85 seconds or some shit. So it's kind of like, I think maybe if you guys were further behind, the EXP gain might have been good. But imagine if you had the movement speed from this and then you also had Tranquils, you'd be running around at like 500. You should have used your Solar Crest on your Sven. Did you? I think you did, but it was... Oh no, you got it on the Pudge. And at this point, it's kind of like... I'd be rather going for the Sheep Stick than the Halberd. Because if you can lock down the TA or the AM for those 3.5 seconds, and then follow up, they're gonna be dead, which is as good as them being disarmed. But if you just disarm them, they can like Refraction and blink out, or Manta and blink out, or whatever. I think probably Tranquils earn Link Dagger Sheep Stick was the build this game. Yeah. Well, the hard part is figuring out why exactly it would be those items when it's not me just saying those are the good items. Well, yeah, the only time. Well, the thing is, you're a bounty hunter, and that's the only reason that I'm suggesting it, because you get 250 gold per kill, so a fight can net you like 1,500 gold. And then you get like, you get the void thing, and then the next fight you get like the mystic staff, and then you're basically there. And it's your team lacks lockdown, kind of. Like your Undying's one is kind of weird. Your CM's lockdown sucks against their team. Your Sven's stun is solid, but he's a Sven, so he's not going to be like catching people out, and he doesn't want to be like, I don't know, his stun isn't the same as like a support stun. But it's kind of like with Tranquils and Urn, you have your health solved, you have your mana solved, your team has their mana solved because of the CM, and they have their health solved because of your Urn, and then it's like the TA and the AM are both like hard to deal with for your team. And the only item that deals with both of them very well is a sheep stick. But you don't want to go Tranquils, Urn, sheep stick because that's too far of a jump. But the Blink Dagger would allow you to get more kills, more pickoffs, be more useful, and then when you do have the sheep, you'll be able to blink in and sheep them. And then they just kind of like die. It's basically there aren't other items that would be good this game. Like your Solar Crest is meh. Your Sven has, with his Warcry up, he has around, even with like meld and everything, he has over 20 armor. So adding a little bit to that isn't that great. And then you can give him evasion, but like meh. That's like kind of good later on, but it's still like you haven't even been using it for that really. Yeah, and this game it's like the TA and the AM are the ones that need to die, and they're not dying because they have too much armor. They're not dying because you can't lock them down long enough. And then with the Solar Crest being like meh, and then the Spirit Vessel not really doing anything, and then you having mana boots, between all of that, you would be really close to your sheep stick right now, with already having your Blink Dagger. And then if you can get a sheep stick at 35 minutes, you can kill either of these guys whenever the Sven's near you, because then you have all of a sudden 5.5 seconds of disable. Yeah. It's just kind of like the reason I really like Blink Dagger here, or like just on Bounty Hunter in general. You don't know where their team is, aside from this one guy that shows. The TA popped up, but that's because of a replay bug. So like, the Rubik very well could be right here. And if you have a Blink Dagger, you can just track this guy and then blink out and know that you're safe. But with like these items, it doesn't really help too much. Also, what would you say is your main priority in fight aside from throwing out tracks? Yeah, that's what I'm going for here. So with that in mind, you should be watching the Pudge a lot, have a track on him, and then like shuriken this right here. And then that would stop this guy's... Because that's like... Your mini stun sucks, but it's good enough to stop them from having 3 seconds of BKB piercing stuns. Now the game's pretty much over. I think it was... I didn't really see, and I wasn't really looking for one, but it wasn't... Usually there's a clear cut, this is the play that lost you the game. But it kind of was just like a lot of little mistakes, and you like slowly being useless because you don't have the right items. So yeah, I think this replay is pretty much spent for what we can get out of it. Do you have any questions on it? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I mean, both of them would. Pudge is shit against Clockwork because Clockwork has a million mini stuns between his battery assault, his cogs, and then also his ult. It's really easy to cancel all of this guy's shit. And then you can lock down people for a good bit with Clockwork if you do it correctly. So he would have been able to lock down the TA enough. And before she gets her Blink Dagger, you can even just kill her, because your Battery Assault will eat through her refractions. I think it has to be... It might be any level. I know that Pudge has to have level 2 Rot to go through her refractions, but I think because this is a interval of 0.7 instead of Pudge's, but like what you could do to this TA is something like this, where you get the hook shot, and then you run around, and then you cogs them back, and you get a the cogs has a 0.85 second knockback, so between hook shot and that, you can pretty consistently get 2.5 seconds of disable, and then like let's say you have an urn and you throw it on them while you do that. You do your hook shot, your flare, your cogs, and you have an urn on them, and the charges are pretty much gone at that point if you have anyone else there. And then also you could have done more work mid when the tower pushes up, because as a bounty hunter you're just a slow basically and like a decent right click, but as a Clockwork you can actually man fight the TA unless there's creeps there. And then the Night Stalker would have been really good, because until the AM has Manta, you can just kill him. But I think you picked after both of those heroes, so it wasn't that... one sec. Yeah, you picked after both of those heroes, so it wasn't that you picked the wrong hero against the lineup that they had, it's that you picked the wrong hero not knowing what the rest of their lineup was going to be. Yeah. Yeah. And like Bounty Hunter, if you pick them sooner, like if they didn't have the Pudge pick before you got picked, they can pick a Spirit Breaker and your game's just like horrible from there, because he just starts with a Dust and an Orb of Venom and you die every time you show up. But yeah, so I'd try around with the Night Stalker and Clockwork some. I think those two heroes are really good to early pick as position 4s. They might not be the best in the meta, but they're definitely the best in the meta of having to first pick your supports. But yeah, so I think that this would be a good time to wrap it up. We talked about a lot of stuff, and some of it carries over to your offlane, like the quick buy and all of that. But yeah, so if you don't have any final questions, I'll cut it here and put the video up and send you the link. Alright. Fucking, my Skype's broken. I don't know how to stop sharing my screen now, so I can't fucking, yeah. One sec.